Good morning, top performers. And here we go into our second facilitation together. That is going to be a rocking time. You're going to better understand yourself, understand others, that you're starting to really harmonize now that you're attracting and align with your source. You're attracting more of the things that you want. Remember last week we talked about that whatever you think about, that it grows, it expands. And so you can't, if you think about the things that trouble you, if you think about the things that aren't working out right, that they will just continue to be worse. So we all have contrast in life. Yesterday I had a fun little one that I'm at my bathroom sink and I see that the glass door for the shower has a little stain on it. And so I reach around trying to clean it, and I hit over this granite soap dispenser, and it falls into the brand new sink that we just paid $800 for, and it put a big hole in it. And the guy came out then, and told me. And so if I would just think about, oh, that's awful, that's bad, gee, I got to spend more money, et cetera, that would take me down a rabbit hole that I don't want to go in. So I just merely laughed, smiled, and said, well, today I'm going to create and attract some more money. And this will be easy to fix, and everything is just fine. And so I immediately text the person that put in the sink, and they came out literally in a half hour and looked at the sink. And then he texted me back and he said, hey, it'll be done by Friday, and they'll have everything all done on Friday. And so that happened, easy, quick, just like I asked for. Instead of me getting into the drama of it, that I decided I'm not going to get into drama anymore, that I'm going to just call it the way that I like it. So the other point that I wanted to do was I wanted to attract and create more money. And money is fun and exciting. That's the emotion you want to have, not a missing old friend that you haven't seen for a while. And so I walked into where I coach, into my conference room where I coach on my live coaching that I do virtual and live. And so I went in, and to my first mentee, that person that I'm coaching, walks in and goes, oh, I'm so excited. Things are going so great for me. And here's a check for you. And so that more than paid that check that came out of the blue, more than paid for the sink, whatever, and it's all fun. So there's plenty of everything that I want, and there's plenty of everything that you want. And the most effective way now for you to be able to start thinking about having the things that you want, having your dreams come true, the most effective way that I have ever found is, and I've been through all kinds of training with Procter and Gamble. I've been to, ministers and gurus and believe me, all people around the world. And the most effective way in order to create your dreams is to do that joy shop every morning. And so I really want you to get into it, not as a chore or something Dr. Hank asked you to do, but get into it and just read that joy shop, get feeling good, and start writing down what you desire, what you appreciate, and then what you then pre-pave your day. So what you want, how you want your day to be. And so that was last week in our discussion last week, and I wanted to share just some amazing things that you participants in Top Performers right now have achieved in the last week, what you have created. And so I had one of you email me and share with me that on Friday, so the 2 days later after our webinar last week, on Friday, they got out of the blue 2 listings, and on Saturday got a contract on one of those listings. And so it's just fun. I mean, this is how easy it is, that you just need to be real gentle and kind to yourself and start thinking and being aware of the things that you do want, not the things that trouble you, because you'll just get more trouble. And so we don't want more trouble. We want to have our dreams. You were literally born in order to have your dreams come true, and you have the power to do that as you mold the energy of the universe through your good feeling thoughts. And so the Joy Shop is, the way to do it. Other ways that other amazing things that have happened. Let's see. One of you had a referral partner come out of the blue. You got a referral into a loan officer, of all things, and this loan officer has been waiting for this a bilingual agent and been, wanting to have that. And they're sharing that they probably have at least 2 pre-qualified leads every month. And so, so that's, if you get 1 out of 2, but they're pre-qualified, so you may get 2 out of 2, that 2 more deals per month. And you take that at 3% on a $200,000 home. And she just made $12,000 more per month in steady income, based on the referral partner that she had. I have another one on a referral partner that they wanted to, let's see, the loan officer, and then the other one was they had a friend who really never was engaged. In fact, it wasn't a real close friend, but the friend said, hey, I do real estate. And they go, oh, really? I didn't know that. And because she was actually calling and asking the friend if they would be a referral partner and help them. The friend didn't even know she was in real estate. And see, a lot of people you assume know that they don't know. You are each beautiful, just amazing people that are the best real estate agent for where you are in your space and the people that you know. And so you have this beautiful, wonderful service that you want to provide people, but you want to make sure that you share this with them. So we're going to talk later on about referral partnerships and get into a little of that more, but know that there are people right under your nose right now that are waiting for you to ask for their help, and that they will be more than happy to help them. I had one other lady, so amazing things you guys have created in the last, we asked for out of the blue, and we got amazing out of the blue things happening. That, and if you're sitting there right now saying, oh, well, none of that happened to me or whatever, that there's some really good things that happen in the last even 24 hours with you. And for you and on your behalf. And so I want you to just take a second right now and think about what did go well in the last 24 hours. Okay, it doesn't necessarily have to be $12,000, per month. That it could be a smile, a great conversation, you just doing your Joy Shop and feeling good. Because really, if you will let go and not be attached anymore to the outcomes and just enjoy and appreciate your good feelings, that then I'd be amazed at you being able to create good feelings, that your amazement at creating good feelings will then create and attract everything else you want. More business, more happiness, better relationships, better health. It is all coming to you. And so I promise you this, that because you're on this line right now, that this is starting to touch your minds, your hearts, your souls, and it's really starting. I've asked for that this morning. I had last night in my appreciation journal, and this morning when I was doing my Joy Shop, and I literally wrote down that I asked to be able to touch your hearts, your minds, your souls, your bodies, on just to be able to feel the presence and the energy of the magnificence of who you are. Each of you are on a trajectory of well-being. And what that means is that there is only well-being that flows to you, and if you will just allow it without having the resistant thoughts. And so, I always use my lovely wife, Sharon. She provides me good material, if you will. And last night she comes home and she goes, "Oh my gosh, I have so much debt because of this office. I just can't believe it." And she's sitting there complaining. And I go, last week you had the biggest business week you've ever had. You have built your business to a $20 million business, and you're sitting there complaining? And I said, that's going to slow down the momentum. Don't do that. And so then, and then I started to work her, talked about, hey, what did happen good? And then she said, wow, I was able to get a financial coach that I talked to for a little while, that I was able to get her assistant that she was able to train. And so she started talking about all the good things that were happening instead of the disturbing things. And pretty soon she was just right back on her high-flying saucer. And you each have the power to be on that high-flying saucer as well. I was coaching with a lady yesterday, one of my mentees, and she came in, and she's a marvelous lady. And she recognized, see, when I asked you last week, what do you want, and your desire, and you wrote down a professional desire and a personal desire, that as you dig deeper in that you may discover that you have even greater desires, or even more of a desire, a deeper, more meaningful desire than what you wrote down. And let me give you an example that the universe can provide all everybody's requests, everybody's desires. The universe could do it. And so you may ask, well, how would that be possible? Let's say that one person asks for no rain and another person asks for rain. And so how is it possible that the universe can answer both those solutions? Well, the person that wants the rain was actually a farmer who wants a good crop. So what he can do is he can start asking for, I want a healthy crop. And so it doesn't necessarily have to rain that day. And the person that didn't want the rain, that even if it rained, if they would appreciate the beauty of the rain, that in fact they would have their desire fulfilled. Or let's say it doesn't rain, they can enjoy their day, and at the same time the crops can be well. So know that all prayers are answered, and even when you think they're conflicting, that really the bottom line on your desires, to really be thinking about what your desires are. For example, it might be you want to be independently wealthy instead of, sell 3 homes in a month. Or maybe that's just part of it and you love the idea. And remember, to ease your resistance is to always say, I love the idea of. And so I'd like you to, if you're not writing any of this down, that I'd like you to start writing this down. And so on one of that the first thing I'd like you to write down is, I love the idea of, and then whatever the things come after. I love the idea of being independently wealthy. I love the idea of having a robust business. I love the idea of getting clients out of the blue. So I gave you examples on how you guys have already attracted clients out of the blue, referral partners out of the blue. And back to this Lisa, that the person that I was coaching with yesterday, that she realized that it was not only real estate that she liked, but she loved to be a designer, and she has a background in design, and she realized that's her passion. So she's able to use the vehicle of real estate, and we identified that what you want to do now is send to your list that you have, and send that list out announcing that you also do design in the home. And so this way, this person can do their passion while it's all downstream, while still making money in real estate. That, see, everything is just easy and it's fun. And you are finding right now, you are starting to find your lighted path. And you just be easy on that, and you just think about your desires. So with that again, I welcome you that we're going to have a rocket time today, that we're going to learn about how to understand others as well as ourselves even better. Literally, you're going to understand on how to talk the language, how to identify within 30 seconds, you'll be able to identify a person's behavior style and modify that behavior style so you can more effectively communicate with them. You'll also be able to start talking the language of other people. We all have motivations that are different. And so when there are 6 motivations for mankind, and when you understand what your client or what the person you're talking to, when you understand what motivates them, you can start talking their language. So we're going to go into that, and then we're going to go into the amazing discussion about referral partners and get more into that. And so hang on to your hats, and here we go. And so this is understanding yourselves and others, the 4 behaviors of mankind and the 6 motivations of us energy beings. We actually are made of energy. And so everything is made of energy. And so, science has proven this, and it's a little tough to say, well, how can I be energy when you look at your hands and, it looks like it's stagnant, when really it is all this energy moving at a very fast pace. And you're able to align this energy, and you can literally mold this energy, the energy that makes worlds, into whatever you desire. And so our agenda will discuss those 4 behaviors and raise the curtain of communication with others, that you didn't realize it, but at times you were actually closing the shade of communication with others. And the fact is that you can open that shade of communication with all people, get along with all people, and start attracting harmonious people and your ideal clients, your ideal referral partners into your experience. And then the 6 motivations on how to speak the language of other people. And so you're going to first understand by the report on what motivates you. So how amazing, huh? You're going to understand your behaviors. You're going to also understand where you're getting some stress by modifying your behaviors. And then you're going to understand on what motivates you specifically. And so it's going to be a rocking time, and here we go. We're going to identify also our high payoff activities. So what are the most important things that you want to do? Most of us invest about 30% of our time in high payoff activities and spend about 60% of our time, or 66% of our time, in low payoff activities. As you become more clear on what is your high payoff activity, that it's going to become clearer to you on what will take you to all of your dreams. And then we're going to look at the ideal referral partnerships, the key to building $1 million business. And when I say $1 million agent, I mean every month you're selling $1 million or more. I just had one of my mentees who was selling 1 home every other month, and I coached with her yesterday too. And she's an amazing lady, was selling 1 home every other month. And let's see, in January, she closed 5 homes. And in February, she already has 6 that are expected to close, with the close date. And a lot of that came in the last 10 days, that she just is on top of it. She's feeling good, and she's not going to let any person or any situation or any circumstance get in the way of her happiness. And I want you to be that way also. Lisa, who I was referring to, she was always telling me about not enough money and about the bad relationship that she had with her significant other. And that has all changed, that there's definitely more money, that the relationship is better. And the reason why is she stopped thinking about not having enough money and about the bad relationship, and instead didn't even think about those subjects, but started thinking about other things that pleased her, like her design business. And you have the power in order to change your thinking now and no longer think about those things that disturb you. So what I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to get out a piece of paper, and we're going to, in the middle, you're going to have a little box, and you're going to have something on the north side, so I'll use my arrow there. You're going to put, in fact, you could write a D right in that area where my arrow is. And then on the right there on the east side, write an I. And so D is for driver / dominant. And then I is for influencer here. And then we're going to look at, this is the 4 behaviors of mankind. And then we're going to look at where my arrow is the S as in steady for the S. And then finally, we're going to look at the C on the west side, the C for conscientious. So these are the 4 behavior styles of mankind. And that I'm going to, in the middle, that I'm going to show you a little key on what it is. But basically, we're going to look first at, and so here's the 2 things I'd like you to get out of this. First of all, to understand that there's 4 behavior styles. It's called DISC. And the assessment that you took is the world's most statistically accurate and valid for what's called the DISC behavior profile. But you also took a motivational profile, and this measures your motivation. And there's only one in the world of this, and you took it. And so you're going to be able to understand things that most people don't have the privilege, if you will, to understand and know that it is there. And realize that I've been through all this training with Procter & Gamble for 15 years. I was with Procter & Gamble, and they had me on the fast track. And so I managed about $1 billion worth of their business. And literally half the time they had me in training. So all of the things through my life experience that I've gone through my business experience that I've gone through my $1 million consulting business that I have, that with all of that combined, that I'm giving you the best of the best in order to help you to become your greatest possibility. So we're going to look at, so the 2 things I want you to get out of it, to be able to identify a person's behavior style within 30 seconds. And you'll start seeing that you'll be able to identify the person's behavior style within 30 seconds. And then the second thing I want you to get out of this is how to modify your behavior style so you can open up that curtain of understanding. So we're going to look at the identifiable behavior style and the expertise in this style, and then the percent of population. So you're going to actually understand what the percent of population is with this. And then importantly, that second point that I was sharing with you is point number 5, how to modify your behavior with these different behavior styles. Now, I'm talking at about 100 words per minute, and your minds are going 400 to 600 words per minute. And what are you doing with the extra time? Normally, we're not even in the room. We're thinking about something else. And so if that's the case for you right now, I want you to get right back into this room and hear what I'm sharing with you, and that just know that there's going to be a blessing in all this, and that you're going to come out of this by the time we're done here this morning with more wisdom, feeling more confident, more on top of it, and with a clear direction of the next steps to your desires. So we're going to first look at the D. And so I'd like you to actually write out then on the D. The D is for driver / dominant. And again, these are the 4 behavior styles of mankind that when you understand this, you're going to be able to more effectively communicate with other people. And by doing so, it's going to help you to do things like increase your close ratio, like increase your relationship, have deeper, more meaningful relationships. So the D is for driver / dominant, and then I want you to write down an attribute, if you will, that this is that they like to do a lot of controlling and telling. So when you hear that, driver dominant, they like to control, tell, instead of like ask questions, that they're just going to tell you how it's done. And so some of you may think that I'm using the wrong letter and maybe it should be a B or something like that. But I want you to think right now on what people do you know that are Ds? Who's a driver? Who's a dominant behavior style that you know? And for most of you, based on your results, that you typically don't get along very well with Ds, and you probably do call them a B. as in boy. And so anyways, line up, laugh about that, but that's all good. That, yeah, so they're pretty dominant, pretty controlling, do a lot of telling. Now, we've been told through the ages, do not judge. And so this is going to help you in order to stop judging people and instead allowing people. That I want you to think about you being an allower. Allow people to be who they are and allow you to love yourself and to be who you are. And so 18, they're very good. So on the D's, what are they good at? They're very good. And again, I want you to write this down because it'll help internalize the information. Because what I want you to do is I want you to start thinking about when you're talking to someone that instead of thinking about something else or what you're going to say or whatever, that instead of being so self-conscious, that what I want you to do is be thinking, listening to what they're saying, and then also identifying what behavior style they are, because that will then tip you as to understanding how you should behave with them so you can more effectively communicate with them. So one of the things that the D is really good at is they're good at decision making. So write down decision making, that they make good decisions. Now, if all of you were D's right now, you'd probably be saying, yeah, I do make the right decisions, but I didn't say that. I didn't say you made good decisions. You'll make decisions and you'll typically make it fairly well, quickly. The reason why you want to know this as far as a buyer, a prospect, a client that you're working with, that you're playing with, if you will, that because with D's, you need to make and so number 5, be efficient with them. Because you now know that D's make quick decisions, and so when you're talking to them, you want to be efficient. So when they ask you how you are, you don't want to go into a 5-minute repertoire of, all the things that happened during the day, whatever. That pretty much they want you to get right to the point. And so again, think of that D that you know and that driver that you know, and think about how you want to respond to them. And that is, you want to be efficient with them. And so you want to get to the point with them. And literally, you'll see this work like magic when you're with D's. Instead of not getting along with them anymore, you're going to get along with them. That, again, you're going to be very efficient. You're going to get right to the point. You're going to share with them. So for real estate agents, it is that, I have this home in this neighborhood. I have that home in that neighborhood, and both are 3-2s. Which one would you like to go see? And they typically want to make the decision as well. So you lead them to the decision, but they'll want to be in control. So if you just think about, oh yeah, it's this, and when I come up to a person within 30 seconds, I can start identifying what behavior and how to modify my behavior so they raise the shade of communication, like you will see some magical things happen with your relationships. Okay, so pretty cool one on that, and so that's the D. Now we're going to go over to the I, and again, I'd like you to write this out. So the I is for influencer, and these people are very outgoing, and they do a lot of telling, but not telling in a demanding way. They like to tell stories. So they're typically the very talkative people that come and to you that you know. So I want you to think about a person that you know that is real talkative, outgoing, and you know them, that the 28% of the population are them, and most of you, by the way, have some fairly strong I in you, and so which means you're very good at influencing people. So I will give you an example of, I went to a party over the holidays, and there were about 4 different groups kind of sitting around talking, and I could figure out which was the I in each group. I just have fun with all this, that it's just great that I look and it's the person. They typically are using a lot of hand motion and they're doing a lot of talking. And so I picked out the I in every one of those groups who predominantly is an I. Now also understand that all of us are real strong strong one behavior style, pretty strong another behavior style, and then two behavior styles we're not strong in at all. And so, and that typically is how it is. And for most of you, that's how it played out with you. And we're going to actually look at your results today. And I'm going to show you a sample of a person's results so that you can start reading it. And like the graphs, you're going to just rock on these graphs because they're going to actually show you on any stress that you may have. And so with the I, another example of an I, and I kind of kid on this now, and again, I'm giving you the pure I on how they are. But if you're in a hurry and an I is walking towards you down the hall, make a left real quick because they typically are going to talk to you a lot. They're going to, hey, how's it going? And they tell long stories. So with the I and the D, that if you're an I, which most of you have some I in you, that with your I, that when you're with the D, you want to not talk quite so much. And you've learned this in the past, and some of you even have a little stress because of it, because you're dropping your D and you're not being as D. I mean, you're dropping your I and not using your I as much because you had experiences where people say, hey, you're talking too much, or get to the point, or whatever. Well, really, who those people are that told you that are mainly Ds. And so it's not it's not the masses think that, but we have a tendency with our committee. Remember, we talked about the committee, that when we're criticized or, our feelings are hurt by someone say, hey, you talk too much, that then we think, oh, I'm not going to talk as much. And we do it with everybody. And the fact is, especially other I's, they want you to talk. They love to talk. Okay. And they love having a big party. Now, if all of us were I's in the room, we'd never get to the agenda. That we'd all be talking away and having a good time. And these these are kind of like the party people, okay? And we all have, by the way, and every person in the world has a party in them. And so, and Sylvia has a party for her birthday tonight and then on Friday night. But there's a party in her and there's a party in everybody. And so just know that, hey, there's a party in everybody with those eyes that they typically have even a bigger party because they're just all about having fun and being very outgoing. And so how do I be with an I? Is I be stimulating. So with the D, the driver, I'm going to be very efficient and to the point. With the I, I'm going to kind of bump it up a little. And so I'm going to go, hey, how are you? I'm not going to go, hey, how's it going? And look down. Then I'm going to go, hey, how are you? Now, at the same time, you don't want to fake it and say, hey, how are you? That, you want to be real and be who you are. But at the same time, you recognize, no matter what behavior you are, you recognize what behavior they are now. And now you start saying, yeah, well, I'm going to be a little bit more stimulating with this I because I want to communicate effectively with this person. No more judgment and they talk too much or any of that stuff. That no, I want to effectively communicate with them. I'm going to raise their shade of communication, but I'm going to be a little bit more stimulating and talk a little bit more. And again, not to be my unnatural self, but again, we have some of these behavior styles. We're just predominant usually in two of them. So that's the I. And then we go to the S, and S is for steady. So again, I'd like you to write this down. It's a way to retain this information and to start using this information. None of anything that I teach will be any good to you unless you actually put it into action. We only have, after this session, we only have 3 more sessions. And I'm sharing with you, this will change your life. But I just asked you to do a couple simple things. And one of them is that Joy Shop. The other one is right now to be able to write this down and to start internalizing, because from now on, when you're meeting people, instead of being self-conscious and thinking about how that you got a bad hair day, and you know how it is, that you're the only one that knows it's a bad hair day, okay? Nobody else knows you have a bad hair day. And so stop wasting your precious, amazing, brilliant, powerful thought on stuff like that. Instead, get into other people. And this is a way to get into other people. And yeah, I want to understand other people. And this is it in a nutshell on how to understand other people. And so the steady, they're very much a team player. And what they're about is don't rock the boat. Everything is all right. We don't really need to make any changes. And in fact, the S is one of your most difficult, can be one of your most difficult prospects or clients. Why? They're thinking everything's okay and they don't like change. Well, change, if you're a real estate agent and you're moving from one house to another house, that's a lot of change. That typically is a lot of stress on them. So, and most of you, by the way, have S in you. And so you have a steady. The good news is 40% of the population is this way, which means you automatically, most of you are SIs, ISs, that you automatically, that you have, 28% and 40 or 68% of the population you can communicate with very well. So you count your blessings on whatever your assessment comes out, and we'll read it here in a little while. But the fact is that most of you are SIs, ISs, and it's very easy for you to get along with most of the population. So that's cool. And then to go back to the S, that those steadies, they're at a very even pace. And so when you're looking at customer, an I customer is like pretty easy to that as long as they're happy and you're happy and you're stimulating and they're doing a lot of talking, you let them do a lot of talking. So back to that I was at a party the other day. And this guy came up to me and he goes, "Oh, Dr. Hank, hey, I've heard a lot about you." He's talking and talking for probably like 7 minutes. He's talking to me. And all I did was say hi. And then when he's done, he goes, "Dr. Hank, you're just great, man." And off he goes. And so he really liked me, but I didn't say a word other than hi. And so that's what happens sometimes where with I's that, hey, let them talk. And so I customers typically are going to be pretty easygoing and should be good. The S, that they're pretty much stuck in their ways. They don't like too much change. And so so how do you be with an S? Is you be agreeable. And what does that say? Don't say no. Without you knowing it subconsciously, that with 40% of the population, if they say, "Hey, I like that house over there," and you say no because of whatever it is, that it automatically, subconsciously closes the shade of communication. And you don't want that. Because they are thinking to themselves, I just don't feel good about this. And, maybe I'll just do this another time or whatever. And so what you want to do is you want to be agreeable. Don't say no. Don't say but. So, "Oh, you like that house, but," that just wiped out what you said about liking that house. And so the word you do use, and again, to write this down, is use the word "and." That's a wonderful idea. I love that you love that house. And did you know there's another house that actually has one more bedroom than that house? And that was the size home and how many bedrooms you wanted. And by you doing that they like that. Now, how are you going to, you want to be able to go to close right away. With an S, again, because they're steady, they're not going to be as fast-paced as 60% of the population. And so what do you need to do? Well, what you do is you have, so let's say it's A is day one and B is I want to close them in 30 days. That with a D, you can just say, "Hey, this house is good for you. What do you think?" And they say yes, and boom, you're closed in 30 days. With the I, you say, "Hey, do you want this house?" They talk to you a while about it, and they say, "Sure, that sounds great," and boom, it's done. With the S, you have to have little baby steps. And so all of you can relate, for those of you that have been in business and just, knowing people, that that to get people to move, sometimes it takes different process. And with the S, what you want to do is you want to just start going at a slower pace as far as smaller action steps. So, well, why don't we go, to here, and why don't we just dwindle it down to 3 homes that you like? And so you have a lot of little small action steps in between day 1 and day 30. And that way they're very convenient, and you still get your goal of close at 30. And at the same time, they'll be happy and they'll close with you at 30 as you just give them littler action steps. Again, with the D, they're going to make a decision yes or no, so you want to make your best shot, because they're going to either tell you right up front yes or no. The S's won't tell you, and they'll just keep on kind of going, and it keeps on going, and you're wondering what's going on. Well, that's because you're dealing with S's, and it's the highest percent of the population. So cool stuff, huh? That you can literally start understanding by identifying within 30 seconds, gee, the D, I, S, or the next one that we're going to get to is C. And then you can start developing your strategy on how will I work with them, how will I play with them, how will I communicate with them. And here's the answers. Right here on this page are the answers in order to more effectively communicate with them. And then we're going to go to the C, and the C is for conscientious or compliant. And these people are all about facts and data. So you've had clients, or you will run into clients, that they ask you, how many feet is it from the fire hydrant out in the front street to my front door? And you have no clue. And you really don't care how many feet, and who cares? But the fact is that C's care. And so those people have been bothering you for the most part. Most of you have been bothering you because they want a lot of data and facts. So when you know that they're a conscientious, compliant person, they'll want a lot of information, a lot of data and facts. They also are all about rules and regulations. So a high C says rules are made to be followed. A medium C says rules are nice guidelines. And a low C says rules are meant to be broken. And so some of you out there, like one of you I know is an ID with the low C, and so kind of forget the rules and let's just get blowing going, because IDs are very extroverted and making, faster decisions than the C and the S. Now, the reason why, and 14%, I'm sorry, on the C is at 14% of the population. So you don't run into many of them that are predominantly C, but they are out there. And how do you want to be with them? You want to be accurate. So with the question of the fire hydrant to the front door, just say, I don't know. I'll find out that information. But I would have with you, when you're dealing with those customers, I would have with you as much information as possible, because they're going to ask for a lot of information. And if they don't get a lot of information, they're not going to do business with you. And so again, just being accurate with them will help. And they don't want to hear, so an I will typically say, oh, it's around $300,000, this home. The C wants to hear that it's $301,214. So you want to be very accurate and very specific with them, because they're looking at that, and they typically will be looking at the money very good too. And so make sure who you either call in or who they have on the mortgage, that is also something that some people that are really good with numbers and not trying to rip them off or whatever, because they're going to realize that. So a few things about, there's the DISC. There's the 4 behaviors of mankind. This presentation, actually, the first time that I did it, it was a 2-day seminar. And I just synthesized it down into this concise way for you to be able to easily use this and to start modifying your behavior so you can more effectively communicate, so you can more effectively get along with, harmonize with, and then that means more service, more closings, more money, more everything, many things that you want will come from this. And with relationships, just in relationships, think of your own significant other and think about, hey, what behavior style are they? And then you'll know what behavior style you are in a few minutes here. And then see on, hey, what do I need to do in order to modify my behavior? These behaviors, by the way, they are available to you and for your spouses. And so there is an investment for that. And so just let me know on if you do have an interest of doing any of your family members or significant others, your loved ones, and I can give you a discounted price as you're going through this process. And so just a few more things. So the D and the S, the reason why they're at opposing poles, the North Pole and South Pole, is they typically don't get along very well. And for the most part, most of you are stronger S's than you are D's, and so there can be friction there. Why? The D is saying, hurry up, let's get everything going. The S is saying, slow down, there's no hurry, we don't need to get anything going. And so because of that, there can be that friction. When you understand that, and then when you're able to mentally now process that, then now you just allow them, oh, they're going to be in a hurry to do stuff. I'm not. I'm going to share with them who I am. In fact, I would strongly suggest that you share your assessment with your significant other and talk about it, because they'll see that, they'll be saying like, oh, I told you that you were this way, or you really are that way. Like, some people try to change you to what they want or they think that you should be. And this is who you are. This tells you who you are. And so it's a way for other people also to honor you for the magnificent person that you are. The C and the I typically don't get along very well, because the I is saying, hey, we can do everything faster and better than anybody else. And the C is saying, quit all the BS and just give me the facts. And a couple other things to be able to identify the DISC. If you put a line between the DI, that those DIs are typically very extroverted. The ISs are typically more concerned with relationships. So they're more concerned with the relationships than the data, than the task that is being done. And so you can have a lot of conflict between people, especially between an IS and a DC. And I'll share a story with you in a minute about that. That if you put a line between the C and the S, that typically S's and C's are very introverted. So you can bet that if somebody's pretty outgoing, hey, how's it going, that they're an ID, and then you can figure out from there within 30 seconds based on if they're pretty demanding or not, or if they're just doing really a lot of talking. And so C's are typically more introverted. And so you want to slow it down. With the SCs, you want to slow it down, take it easy. That they're not the IDs, they're going real fast. And this is not, by the way, like that means SCs are slow mentally or anything. It has nothing to do with that. This is how their God-given gifts of how their behavior style is, how they were born. And so usually you're born with this, and you don't change. The only time you'll change one of your behaviors is if you've had a significant event. If you all of a sudden became awakened, which, by the way, this process can awaken you to who you are. And who you really are, is a magnificent creator. You can call it the way you want it. No more oranges. Remember, we talked about, I asked for yellow, and then during the day I'm asking for red, stuff I don't want, and then you mix the red and the yellow together and you get oranges, and you think you're not a deliberate creator. Fact is, you created it all. It's just that you had inconsistent thought, and what I'm helping you do is start having consistent thought on thinking about what you want. And one of the things that you want is you want to have harmonious relationships, and here are literally techniques that are proven and work like magic in order to help build those relationships. If you go to the DC, right down there with the DC, these people are concerned with tasks. So what needs to be done, and let's go do it. So I was working with an IBM executive, and she was an IS. And so note there that she's concerned with relationships. And when I showed her all of this, she started to cry. Literally, this information right here, she started to cry. And I said, listen, this information is really good, but I don't think it's that good to cry over. And she goes, no, she's crying because she realizes after being married for 11 years that her husband is a DC and she is an IS. And so she's concerned with relationships. He's just concerned with tasks. So for the last 11 years, she's been trying to change this guy to be warm and soft, and he's never going to be warm, soft, and cuddly. He's a CD. He's just concerned with the task. What needs to be done? Let's get it done. And so she recognized that, oh my gosh, she kind of wasted 11 years trying to change him when he wasn't trying to be egotistical or macho man or whatever. He was just being who he is. And so she started to cry, and I said, well, give me an example of what happens with this. And she goes, well, like we wanted to go on vacation. And so I'm thinking about the vacation. Hey, are we going to invite the grandparents? Are we going to invite the kids' friends, with us on our vacation? And he's thinking, hey, when do we leave? And where are we staying? And when do we get back? And so she was thinking, hey, that's not very sensitive, not very emotional towards, the people. And that's because she's concerned with the relationships and he's concerned with the tasks. And so she then asked, well, why on earth did I marry this guy then? And she married him because opposites attract. So she really liked him as far as him being, dominant and conscientious and whatever. And he really liked her because she was so outgoing and fun and at the same time steady. And so that was all nice. And they liked those opposites because they weren't that. But when you live with those opposites, sometimes it's a little bit more challenging. And so, but by her understanding now on, that's who he is as a DC, that she was able to now better allow him to be who he is and her to be who she is. And so with that, we are going to go. So now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to go to your profile, your assessment. And so one of you responded this morning, wow, that was really long. It's really a thick one. Yeah, it is, and it's very accurate. And but I'm going to help you to understand on how to do it. So the first thing I want you to do, and so I have an example up here on the screen so that you can see. And so this is the third page in. So here's the first page, second page, and now we'll go to the third page, which would be page actually 4 on the profile, but it says sales characteristics. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like to take a minute here and have you read the next 2 pages of your sales characteristics. So if you've read it before, go ahead and read it again, and you will be amazed on how straightforward and correct it is. And so take a minute and read that, and I'm going to give you like 2 minutes here, and you go ahead and read that. Take some notes about yourself if you want to. What is the big aha there? It might be a better understanding of who you really are. That maybe it's something that people have told you that you didn't allow or accept, and the fact is maybe you are that way. But go ahead and start reading that, and you each have your assessment that I emailed you, so you should have that, okay? Give you 2 minutes. All right. Pretty amazing, huh? Yeah, I had, it was fun. I had the executive team of John Board, about 50 people in the room, and I had them read their manager characteristics. I have different assessments depending on what position you are. And so these were all executives and management. And one guy, after I had them read these 2 pages, so, again, you should read that page and then the second page here on sales characteristics, and I had the one guy, he stood up and he said, "This is nothing like me." And I said, "Really? Well, you know most of these people, you've been around them for 20, 25 years, right?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, and so right away I knew he was a D, okay, because he's so aggressive and standing up and saying it's not like him. And so again, you'll see how magical this is. It's just fun to play with and to be able to have more clarity about other people. And so I said, why don't you, if you wouldn't mind, just read the first paragraph on what it says, and let's see what your, co-executives, think about this. So he says, "Sure, I'll read it. It's nothing about me." And he reads the first paragraph, and everybody goes, "That's exactly like you." And so there may be some things that you maybe don't like in there. And if that's the case, that I want you to start liking them, to realize that, yeah, that this has an accuracy. Again, it's the most accurate of any DISC assessment out there, and it's the one where you had to pick an order 1, 2, 3, 4, and it was the first section, the first part that you had completed, and so just know that it's over 93% accurate, and it is. So because of that accuracy, that I would suggest, instead of fighting some of it, that you just, allow it. And for most of you, you just love it. Like, yeah, it's you. So there's all kinds of information on these. But what I want to do is, like, here's a neat, kind of review some of this, and especially review the graphs for you. But look at this. It shows the different aspects of a sale. I mean, here it is. It's prospecting, your first impression, the way that you qualify, your demonstration, the way you can influence it to close. Those are the 6 keys to your success on your ability, your talents, to be able to leverage those different areas. Now, you'll notice that it says adapted versus natural. So with this example that I have up here, that the natural self means who you really are. So they rank at an 8.0 on who they really are. But prospecting, when they prospect, they bump that up to 9.5. And so again, qualifying, you can see their natural and adapted self are the same. And actually, the more healthy for you is to have natural and adapted the same. And so you have just been led to believe that you have to be somebody different in order to be effective. And this is where teams come along very well. And again, I'm going to give the example of Sylvia's team, that Sylvia has a team, and that you can identify, hey, who's better at what? And you can actually, like, for example, some of you might be better at prospecting. Some of you might be better at the closing. And so you can leverage each other's strengths in order to double up, or, just say, hey, why don't you just do this area of the business? And so it's a neat way to be able to leverage each other's strengths on what we have. And so, again, going through this, that there's just all kinds of good information on it. And it tells you about, the first impression and what might happen, your strengths and obstacles to behavioral selling success. So it's just some really good information. So I would suggest that you take a look at all that. And so, in fact, one of your assignments is Inspired Steps is for you to really start reading and going through all this. And now some of you I know already cheated, if you will, and went through the whole thing, and which is great. And I sometimes ask, don't read it, but it's too tempting, and so people read it because it has just some amazing, incredible information on it. And so then other things, value to the organization. So if you're on a team, this will help you understand and the type of value that you provide to the organization. How to communicate. This is a way, so if you're especially a manager of a team, or you take this to your spouse, your significant other, and you say, here's how I like, kind of the laundry list of how I like to be communicated with. And if there's some things that they're not very good at doing with you, then you highlight those and you say, what I really like, and so I use this, like use the carrot, use the carrot approach when appropriate. And so maybe her spouse or her team or whatever, that, they're not doing that. And so it's a great way to effectively communicate now how you like to be communicated with. And it's like a laundry list that you look up on, hey, which ones are the main ones that you want to make sure that they're communicating. Checklists for communicating on ways not to communicate. And so don't be paternalistic. Don't talk down to her. And so, some of those things that can be very effective. Actually, this person is on a team, and the manager use this and realize, wow, I've been leaving some decisions up in the air. I've been talking, I guess, she said, I guess I have been talking down to her. And she closed her shade, and she wasn't very effective. So she went back to the first page and started focusing on how to communicate. And now they get along more effectively because of that. Now, these selling tips, it's the DISC. And so who is a person that's dependent, neat, conservative? Well, that's the C, okay? And so here's even some more specifics on how, when you identify in 30 seconds that behavior style, here is the sales way of how to actually communicate with them. When selling to a person who's ambitious, forceful, decisive, strong-willed, who's that? That's the D. And so there's some things. Be clear, be specific, brief, to the point. When selling to a person, I'm in the lower right here, that when selling to a person who's magnetic, enthusiastic, friendly, demonstrative, and political, who's that? That's the I. And so, provide a warm and friendly environment. So this page alone can really help you to give you even more information on the brief, outline overview that I gave you. This gets into more detail on all of that. And so there's all kinds of good stuff, but I want to go now to, and so keep on sliding down to it says page 31 there, and it's the Style Insights graph. And so this is critical, and I would write down, on a piece of paper or whatever, the right side of the right graph on the right side is who you really are. The left side is how you modify your behavior style. So notice the DISC is at the top. And when you look at your right graph will be on telling you who you really are. So in this case, this person happens to be 3 behaviors. Most of you are 2. But this person is what? An I, D, and they have some S in them. Okay? Now, the left graph is how they modify their behavior style. And this is critical now on if you have a difference. So notice the C there is a 24, and the C on the left is a 34. Well, if you're 10 points, this happens to be exactly 10 points, but if you're 10 points or more different from your natural self to your modified self on the left graph, this is causing you stress. So, for example, that she is using too much data, the C, okay, under this example, and she's getting a little stressed out because she's bumping the C and she really doesn't like all the data. She probably needs an assistant to help her with that, to manage with that. And then look at her S. She is naturally a 56S, and she drops it down to 36. Now remember, the higher the S, the slower the pace. So because she's dropping that S, she's going at a faster pace than she's comfortable with, and it's 20 points different, and it literally is adding a lot of stress. She's going way too fast versus what she's comfortable with doing, who her natural self is. And so the way to allow yourself to help you to get back, because I want you to be your God-given natural self on the right graph. I want you to, and I want you to write down, it's DESC. So the D is for delegate. So like in this case, she should delegate some of the data because it stresses her out. Delegate. The E is for eliminate. Maybe there's some things she can eliminate so she isn't at such a fast pace. So that's the D-E. And then the S, and again, to write this down, so D-E-S-C, and this is how to get back to who you really are. And it's delegate, eliminate, and the S is to simplify. So maybe she can make her systems more simpler. Maybe she can get a more effective referral partners for her. And then the C is for communicate. Communicate this. So she should communicate. If I were talking to Chanel right now, I'd be sharing with her, you need to communicate with your team leader about on how you're going at too fast of a pace, and develop strategies in order to slow that pace down. Because remember from last week that stress literally kills you, and so you want to be who you really are in that right graph. Okay, so there's awesome information there, and then if you have any questions, get back to me, email me, call me, text me, whatever. You have all my contact information on my emails, and so please do so if you have any questions and if I can help you in any way with that. We are now going to switch gears on you. So we looked at the 4 behaviors, and now I want to just so that you know that that where this is introduction to motivators, okay? And on this page, it's page like 34, and it ranks her motivations. And then you can see the graph there. It's going to take the motivation. So I'm just going to look, and you can go down to your graph that you have, but there's a big graph, and it's on page 50. And so just looking at that graph, that little gray line, this gray line here on every one of them, that's the norm. So most people are influenced, are motivated by an average on wherever this line is. So let's go over to here to traditional, and I'll get into each one of the meanings of this. But on the traditional, and again, I'm switching gears here from behaviors to how the 6 motivators on how you're motivated, and that you can see that she's very high traditional, meaning order, and likes to have, this order and a system of it, and way so than most people. So she is very particular on that. But if she's talking to somebody else, she has to realize that most people aren't into the systems like she is. Under aesthetic, that's form and harmony. And look at how much higher she is in form and harmony. And so, which means to her, it's important to have aesthetic, form, and harmony, and to have these traditional systems there. But when she's talking to other people, they're not necessarily concerned in that. In fact, the number 1 is utilitarian. They want a return on investment. They don't want anything to do with form and harmony per se, or to have order, tradition, these systems in place. And so that's why she needs to recognize, and you need to recognize, who you are in this scheme. And again, I'm going to go over all 6 here briefly, but who you are in this scheme, and then how you want to start modifying that, understanding who you are there, and then understanding that most people that you deal with are going to be high utilitarian, wanting a high return on investment. So all your advertising should have ROI on it, that, you'll get the best price, we'll get the best, if you're buying a home, we'll get the best price for you. If you're selling your home, we'll get you the best, highest price for you. And so because that's important, that's the number 1 thing that people make decisions. Out of these 6 motivations that people make decisions based on these, and so they want, number 1, they want a utilitarian return on investment. Number 2, they want knowledge. So you want to provide them knowledge. And so as a real estate expert, if you're brand new, which some of you are, that's cool. You just need to study on, the market, on a neighborhood that they're interested in, and have all the information, because they're going to want to know the return on investment. Is the house price rising? Well, is this a good deal, etc. And then theoretical, they're going to want to know knowledge about the neighborhood, about the taxes, about HOA, or whatever it may be. And then the third one is social, and that is helping other people. So they may want to know where their church, where the local church is. That they may want to know about the neighbors, because they're interested in community there. And those are the 3 most important ones. And I know I went through that fairly quickly, but I'm going to go back to now our PowerPoint. Where is it? I can't find our PowerPoint on, here it is. And so now we're back to this on that. Now we're going to look at the 6 motivators. And the 6 motivators, these are how people make decisions in the language they speak. So again, you're going to see your results on that assessment, but I'm going to review them now. So the 6 motivators in order of importance, and the first 3 things you need to understand. People, motivators that you need to understand, that people are looking for a return on investment, number 1. So they want it efficient, they want a best price, they want a good return on their time, money, and resources. So return on what? Time, money, and resources. And so that's how people, so if you're not very high in utilitarian, you need to recognize that most people are, and that you need to start talking their language. The second one is theoretical. People want knowledge. They want knowledge, again, if you're a real estate agent, they want knowledge of the of the neighborhood, of the different costs that are the different price in what's been sold, et cetera, in there. And the third one is social, helping others. And again, they want to know about community and about the neighborhood. And so this is what is important to most people. So you looking at your assessment could see, and we looked at Chanel, that she wasn't in the ballpark as far as the way she valued the world versus how most people value it. And so because of that, she just needs to recognize it. She doesn't need to change anything. That's who she is, and she should love herself for who she is. But when she's talking to other people, that she needs to be talking, and you should be talking to them about, and in your marketing, et cetera, about what is the return on investment, about your knowledge. So it might be credibility on how long you've been a real estate agent or how long you've lived there, or some type of credibility that, will help them to know that you know what you're talking about. And again, it doesn't matter if you don't know, if you just moved someplace and just became a real estate agent, you can still have the knowledge about the neighborhood, etc. And so then the fourth one is individualistic. And so some people just value and they make decisions. The top two motivators are how people make decisions. So if you know how they make decisions, you can make them to make the decision that you want, which is yes and to close. And so that's how important this is, to understand that, wow, I got to see, if they're individualistic and they wanting to be number one, wanting to be the best, they want to buy the biggest, most expensive house in the block. You as a realtor know they're not going to get much of a return back, but that is not your concern. They're high individualistic, and that's why they want to be the best. They want to be number one, so you let them go do whatever they want to do. So don't try to infringe what motivates you and how you make decisions on how they should, because they're going to make decisions based on what they are. So if they're talking about they want the biggest house in the block, you say absolutely and give it to them. You're not doing them a favor by your own beliefs and values and what motivates you on telling them they shouldn't. Traditional and order in life. And so we talked about Chanel, having this, that she had this order in life, that she wants this order in life. She wants to have it to where, she comes in at 9 o'clock in the morning, and she then calls the clients from 9 to 11, and then she goes to lunch. She likes, that order in there. We're not all people, and it's number 5. It's for some people, it's not that important. And then finally, aesthetic. And that's the lowest of them all. Most people don't have form and harmony. So I hired like a website person. I was high aesthetic because I wanted form and harmony. I wanted to be able to go onto my front page and to easily be able to go to the next page and it all flow good. And I'm not high aesthetic, and most people aren't. But it's a nice, easy way. People do like form and harmony, if you will, and we all have these values and these motivations. But these are the 6 ones that make up all of ours. And to know that your top 2 and your client's top 2, the person you live with, your significant other, etc., that's how they're making decisions. When you understand how they're making decisions, and the way to understand how they're making decisions is to talk to them and to ask them questions. And they will lead you to, are they looking for an ROI? Do they just want a lot of knowledge? Are they looking to help others? That you just go through those 3. So you don't have to memorize all 6 of these. Just think about ROI, knowledge, and then helping others. And those are the 3 things that you always want to hit when you're presenting, when you're doing a listing presentation or whatever it may be, when you're talking to whoever, that if you want them to make a favorable decision on what you want, then you need to talk to their motivators, to the things that they value. Amen? Okay. So that's a rocking time. I know it's a lot of information, but you got the 4 behaviors, DISC, and then you have these motivations, and you just want to keep in mind those top 3 when you are communicating with them. I want to share with you briefly now our high payoff activities. You listen to Success Unit 1 at least 6 times. You'll see that you just get more and more ideas. You think it helps you to expand. There's some magic in these tapes that happens. And so what are your high payoff activities? So In my opinion, here's your high payoff activities. If you are a real estate agent or a salesperson, and in this case, number one is no matter what kind of position you have, it's the most important, and that is for you to your high payoff activity. There is nothing finer, more important than you to align with your source and to start asking on what you want. You can't get it if you don't ask for it, and you'll get life by default. And so prepave your day, your week, your month, and your life. And I'm going to show you on how to actually do that in our process when we get to prioritizing your life. And the most effective way is your joy shop. If you don't plan your life, someone else will. And so let's have the life of your dreams come true. And as you thrive, everybody thrives. You don't have to worry about, well, if you do this, will it hurt somebody else? It's impossible that as you start thriving, the whole world thrives. Meet at least 5 times a week with your ideal referral partners. Now, we talked last week about ideal referral partners, so we're going to talk this week about it because it's the most important thing. It's the magic bullet that will get you to all the things on an easy way to get business consistently flowing to you is through referral partners. And your ideal referral partners, they're well connected. They like you. They might have been a previous client of yours. They could be doing anything. They could be doing your hair. They're your family members. They're all under your nose. They're there to help you. All you have to do is ask. 3, meet with your ideal prospects that turn into your ideal clients. So you've identified your ideal referral partners. You've identified your ideal clients. They have lots of money. They have good credit. They have money to put down. That they like you. That you guys get along. They do as you say. You just start creating that energy of what you want, and you'll start getting those better and better ideal clients. And so from your referral partners come your ideal prospects that turn into your ideal clients. Then you meet with them and follow up with your clients. And then finally, number 5, close, and you're back to asking for referrals. And so you maybe even want to have a party when they move in and hosted with, the mortgage person, and they typically have a lot of money that they can, spend on this stuff. And you host all the neighbors to come in, and you're there as the agent, and that way you meet all those people, because out of a neighborhood of 100, there's 12 people wanting to buy or sell their home. And so this package right here could be your entire business. This is all you would need to do to have a thriving business. It's right there in a nutshell. Your high payoff activities in your personal life, that they could be, quality time with my family, with my loved ones. It could be in meditation, and again, back to Joy Shop, and prepaving what you want, writing down what you desire, what you appreciate. In the evening, I also write down appreciation, because it's all fresh for me, and you're going to be amazed at how many things that you forgot about that happened in the day that went well for you. And so just start writing them down. A nice smile, I safely drove. And then as you do that, you're telling the universe, give me more of it. And the universe will give you more of whatever you're appreciating. So to be in a state of appreciation is the fast track to all the abundance that you want. So there your high payoff activities are. Again, a little bit more on referral partnerships and how that works. So you identify your ideal referral partners are. You then contact them and you ask them, will you help me? And then you meet with them and share your ideal client and ask for a personal introduction. So test it out with a friend. Just say, hey, can I meet with you? And I need to just test this out. And so, talk with them. And when you meet with them, that you say, hey, you ask them again, will you help me? Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you helping me. That what I'm looking to do is I'd like to help serve at least 3 families per month, or whatever your objective is, but 3 families per month with their home needs for the American dream. Would you be able to help me? They say yes. You say, I'm looking for these ideal clients that maybe they're living in a certain community, or maybe you want them that have, good credit or good people, are looking to sell their house, that whatever that be, but you get real clear, and it could just be the general ideal client of what you're looking for, and they're well qualified, and they won't necessarily know if they're well qualified, but they'll know if they're good with their money. If every pay raise they get that they're out buying a new car, then you figure they probably don't have too much cash. And then meet with each ideal referral partner every 2 weeks. And so this is literally a system where you hold them accountable. And if some aren't, willing to meet with you on the second go around or whatever, keep on asking. Ask for, I want ideal referral partners to come into my experience. I want ideal referral partners to come out of the blue to me. I want a thriving business. I love being able to serve at least 3 families every month. That you start saying those things, that you're creating the energy that will give it to you. That, because I say this, because I'm saying it and creating the energy, I have lots and lots of business that I give away to the people that coach with me, et cetera, on referrals. And so I just track all kinds of leads. And, technically I'm not even a real estate agent, and I'm a partner in a large real estate company, but I'm not a real estate agent. And so it's just because that's what I'm asking for. I'm sitting here asking, I'm getting into it, and I want you to get into it. I want you to get into your life. You are this brilliant, deliberate creator, and you can have it all. And now is your time in order to do that. We only have 3 more weeks, and I'm guaranteeing you that in 5 weeks that already you have changed, and in 5 weeks it just gets better and better and better. Next week we're going to talk about our beliefs. And so I'm going to share, you're going to discover that you have some beliefs that no longer serve you. And then you're going to discover new beliefs that will serve you. And so, be thinking about that. But next week, we'll really get into beliefs, and it's just a rocking time. And so just so you know the agenda, that we're going to get into our beliefs, and you're going to start, because those beliefs are the ones that have disallowed you, that you have disallowed the goodness of all the things that you have asked for. And so we're going to start improving your beliefs. Then the next week is how you can prioritize your life so that you can get things done. It's all easy. You have plenty of time, plenty of money, and plenty of happiness and all the things that you want. And then the final week is the real bonanza, where we look at the emotional scale of you and where you are at. And literally, I'm going to give you words that are going to be able to describe your emotions and how much you're in a place of allowing all of your good to come to you. Know this, my dear friends, that well-being only flows. However, with our thoughts, with our negative thoughts, with our resistant thoughts, that we can limit the well-being that comes to us. We can't cut it off. And what I'm helping you do, that it's a subtle way of that, I'm helping you to change from any resistance, negative thoughts that you have, to these positive, allowing thoughts, and then emotions that create it all. Everything comes from the unseen to the visible, from the invisible to the visible, everything. And it all starts with your powerful thought. So I want you to use your thought in order to create the things and think about the things that you want. So your success assignments that read your behavioral assessment and motivational assessment. You now better understand on how to read that, what it is. You don't have to read every word per se, but go through that and just start embracing on who you are. If anything, the very minimal, you look at those 2 graphs for the behaviors and the motivation, so you understand who you are, the stress that you may be having by you modifying on your left graph, modifying your behavior, and then also look at what motivates you, and if you're lining up with what most people are, and if you aren't, just to be aware on how most people are motivated and how you want to get to those motivations as well. Listen to Success Unit 2 at least 6 times. So I'm going to be sending you Success Unit 2, the CD, and so this is, you've done number 1 at least 6 times, and I've had people, I just had an agent last week that said, yeah, I'm said, listen, 2 years ago she went through Top Performers, and she said she actually came into our live Top Performers and said, listen to Dr. Hank. If you just go and get referrals, and she went, referral partners, and she went and got a loan officer as a referral partner, and her business was doing about one every 2 months, and she's selling 2 to 3 homes per month. And she said it really works. All you have to do is, attend this and do these simple success assignments for just another few weeks, and things are just getting better and better starting now. Actually, they started last week. So listen to Success Unit 2. Meet with at least one new referral partner this week. So attract it, have it come into you. Just be easy and know that the perfect person, the perfect organization. I have a lady that is selling 4 to 5 homes a month because of this process, and that what she did is she attracted a radio station. It was a Hispanic, bilingual Catholic radio station. She was a member of the church, and she said, well, maybe I'll go to the church. She did, and she advertises on radio, and she has consistent deals all the time now closing. So you can do that too. Expect out of the blue things. Expect miracles to happen to you. They're happening to you all the time, always have. I want you to start noticing them. I want you to lighten up. Just enjoy this life and know that you are magnificent. Feel good every day. And if you ask for something in the Joy Shop, that every day do the Joy Shop. And if you're not emotionally getting into that, just ask to get emotional. And say, I want to get emotional. I want to really have feeling when I read this. Don't just read the word. Get the feeling going. And as you get the feeling going, then you're going to start having the better and better life, the good life that you deserve, that you've always asked for. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much. You guys rock. We had an awesome time. That we will see you same time next week. It's the same link and everything, but I'll send you a reminder on it. If you have any questions, let me know. And I love you. And remember that you are a deliberate creator, and you can create it all. And you are starting now. Love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.